You'll home at 3 o'clock. It's right over the west state line, that's all.
Yeah, I come home and said something about being tired this morning, and, she said, you are, I went, well, that's way to this morning. Yeah, basically, that's what she said. I'm not seeing a bunch of the,
Put it on.
I did notice that they created some, because I see the schools, they're doing a lot of recognition recently. And they're following the lead.
Pretty outstanding time at the state convention.
Byron Lane's daughter, you could tell by what she done the other morning, that she had that thing on today.
She did a stellar presentation. What separates the men from the boys that is they ask them questions. She was, in my mind, she was head and shoulders above the rest of the presentation. And better on questions too.
I didn't see the question stuff, but you could, the passion, the tone.
Her strange presence is good to see.
That's like,
Miss Perfection.
I don't know how many days she moved this morning, but it was good. That morning, you told me, it was nice.
Whenever we get to be able to like to get her to do this,
That's a good idea.
She wants to thank two individual proficiencies that played with state president. Who was? Vice president. That's pretty incredible.
Is that Eddie's son? You just gotta schedule that in. I'm probably the most unlucky person. Every time I walk up to it, it's leaving. And this year was the first year I've seen them make two stops, because they were going up the river to Marriott, back down, and vice versa. You missed your ferry. You were going to be a good 30, 45 minutes trip across. So I was trying to spend as much time on one side as I could.
Yeah.
Got to talk to her. You get in touch with anybody?
One of the mistakes they made.
She wants to present to the board.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, can do that in a minute.
I'll just make them, I'll say something about it in a second. But it was good. For the most part, we got most of the rain, we got dressed before it goes to the ceremony, the bottom fell out. Staying one, I'm not standing out there, I'm about this very well. 45 minutes of rain. Which I didn't think I was
Sprayed all those cars for years.
They have changed everything, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Hey, y'all like getting them. Thank you. Enjoyed that barbecue. It worked great. You don't got a little left in the fridge. Yeah.
And then all of this, and the left hand is left, somebody asked me, I could find. So. I don't do delay. You don't have to worry about it, they got down for I thought they said they served about 16 people inside, and then I don't know what we drive.
Yeah.
That's
what I mean, yeah.
That's the best deal. I mean, I don't think the first safety. Derek.
Well, I had to make sure but I'm not sure, but
Back home, you know, yeah, we,
I went from a really rare age to like a little common.
so really.
Nobody has it.
But I appreciate y'all having some clarity.
Yeah, thank you. At least I'd like to play with like challenge, opportunity to have leftovers, so like,
All right, let's take that. Then the next day, I'll be there later. Yeah. I feel like we're not there.
Agreed. All right. Ready? I'd like to welcome everybody to the Madison County Board of Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session, May 1st, 2023, 6 p.m. I'll start off with the chairman's report. It's very brief tonight because we just had a meeting last week. The 2023 Spring Tire Amnesty event will be May 3rd through June 3rd from 8 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday only. Madison County Transfer Station will be accepting up to 10 tires per citizen, no rims. Large or heavy equipment tires. For more information, please contact the transfer station. So if anyone has any tires laying around the house they want to dispose of, they will take them for free during those dates. Madison County Recreation Department is in need of certified teachers for summer camp. If you're interested, please contact Holly Haynes, the Rec Department. The Madison County Habitat for Humanity will be celebrating 25 years of service Saturday, May 20th at 2 p.m. at the Perch 1926 Madison Street, Comer. join in honor of their past celebrations that presents past and present, and support their future with light refreshments, games, opportunity to donate, and a few words from leaders will be shared at this event. I appreciate what Madison County Habitat for Humanity does for this county. If anybody don't know, they're right below Maggie's in Comer. If you know where that's at, they've got a new facility there. A lot of stuff in stock. It's a great organization to be a part of. Business involving guest groups and multiple visitors. The proclamation for the Madison County 12U Boys All-Star Team will be postponed until our next meeting at the end of the month. There was a little bit of miscommunication. So, with that being said, Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department Chief Bush McDuffie, if you'd like to give us a few words.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, audience, yes. Commissioners, you know that I had proposed, or we should say that the members of the Shiloh Volunteer Fire Department approached the chairman and the commission last month trying to acquire a vehicle that's at surplus for the county to build a, what's known as a super fire knocker fire truck. Basically, it's a 2,500 gallon tanker that will help provide better rural fire protection in our district. We've been working with the Georgia Forestry Commission for about 2 years or so, trying to put this together. We've been trying to acquire a truck through the federal and state DAOS or GAS surplus services. Although we've not been unsuccessful with that, and just by happenstance, I happened to notice that there was one parked out behind the county farm a while back, and so I approached the chairman and asked about it. He in turn asked me to contact the other fire departments in the county to see if anyone had any desire for that truck as well. I did so, and none of them offered any want for that vehicle, and they all said they would support our request. So we're here tonight asking for you guys to consider a request to either donate that truck to us or sell it to us for a nominal price, so that we can take $85,000 that we have already and turn that into a fire truck at about a 25% cost of what a 2,500 gallon tanker would cost you. If you went out and bought a new 2,500 gallon tanker, they're in the neighborhood of $400,000. We don't believe that we need to have a $400,000 truck sitting in the station up Shiloh to run 25 or 30 calls a year. We are very lucky and very blessed in our part of the county that we don't see that many fire calls. Thank goodness. That means people aren't losing property or valuables and things like that, and they're keeping their homes. But when we need 2,500 gallons of water, we need 2,500 gallons of water. So we're asking you to consider that truck and allowing us to procure that truck some way through the commission, and then we will turn it over to Forestry Service. They will convert that into a fire truck for us, and hopefully we'll have it back in our station by the end of the year. I'd be happy to answer any questions you folks might have.
I want to add a couple of things to that. So when Butch approached me with this, turns out the exact truck they were looking for, we did have at the county farm. It does no longer serve us a purpose at the county farm. It was purchased in 2010. Butch went and looked at it. He determined the needs of the truck to get it back in operation. At that point, we pulled our purchase from 2010. I spoke with Alan at the road department, and we normally sell all of our equipment on gov deals now. We don't hold county auctions anymore. We use gov deals. At that point, because it's a fire department inside this county, it's not going to an individual. We deemed that the truck had a $2,500 value. I reached out to Mr. McDuffie today and told him that we felt like the truck was worth $2,500, and they said that they would be more than happy to pay the $2,500 for the truck, but at this board's discretion, if you choose to lower that amount, raise that amount, or donate it to them, that's your discretion. But it is a piece of equipment that basically is taking up space for the county and can be of use to them.
Do we want to take action on that tonight, or you want to move it up?
From time frame, I would probably like to move forward with it tonight, at least with the agreeance of what we will take for it, if anything. I will say that I did ask Mr. McDuffie to reach out to all the fire departments to make sure I didn't want to get into giving one thing and the other 10 not getting anything. And every fire chief signed a letter saying that there was not of any value to them. So his due diligence has been done.
And we have no use for the truck at all, right? Correct?
Zero, sir.
Make a motion that I guess it's the best if we do it as a sale, maybe for $1 or something, or is that?
We can do that, or, we ain't do no donations generally, but we have a contract with our volunteer fire departments to provide fire services as part of our county provision of services. So, if you want to provide it to Shiloh Fire Department, just sort of as a supplement to the county's compensation to them, fire services, I think that works fine.
As I understood your letter, Butch, the other fire departments agreed, y'all all agreed, talked amongst yourselves, that you'll provide support, automatic support, if there's a call, the truck will be dispatched.
Yes, sir, we did. I sent a variation of the memo that you guys received to them, explained the situation, like the chairman had asked me to do, and they all said, no problem at all, they're okay with us trying to get that truck, and yes, any automatic aid is needed anywhere in the county, we'd be happy to bring the truck.
Yeah, and they already got that internal to their contract, so any piece of equipment automatically supposed to be used. So I go back, I make the motion that we then, I don't know, quote unquote, donate or whatever wording needs to be such as.
Yeah, I'd just say convey it to Shiloh Fire Department as a supplement to the compensation for fire services.
Second motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kirk, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any discussion, gentlemen?
The only caveat, and I spoke to Bush about it the other day, just for, again, I appreciate all of the fire units working together, but, for some unforeseeable action, if Shiloh went down, I mean, when I say go down, they disbanded or something like that, knowing that this action here, it would revert back to another unit to support the county somewhere else. That's the only caveat function.
Yeah, agreed, sir. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
McDuffie?
Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
I appreciate your due diligence. All right. Public hearing on zoning actions and matters. Mr. Canola Scott.
No.
How are you doing?
We're slow.
It's a Monday.
We're slow.
We're bad slow. All right, items 1 and 2 were taken up in one vote. Paul Simmons is requesting to rezone his 3 acres to A1 or from A1 to AR to bring lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations and combine the vacant property with the adjoining property for tax purposes. Jane Summers is requesting to rezone her 6.7 acres, A1 to AR, to bring lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations and to combine it with a 3-acre adjoining property for tax purposes. The properties are located at 3675 Highway 191 in Danielsville. No one came in support, no one came in opposition. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to approve.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Simmons, is there anything you'd like to add to that, or you feel comfortable with that presentation?
Yes.
All right. Anyone here to speak in favor of? Anyone here to speak in opposition of? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion.
I make a motion that,
For items 1 and 2.
For what, yeah, items 1 and 2 that, we approve as requested.
Second motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kirk, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, Mr. Chandler?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You're good to go, sir.
Thank you.
Item 3, Cleta Cordell is requested to rezone her 7.69 acres from A1 to AR to bring a lawfully non-conforming property in compliance with current zoning regulations and to allow a second home to remain on the property as an accessory dwelling unit for her daughter. There was no one to speak for, no one to speak in opposition. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to approve.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Cantrell,
Yes.
are you good with that presentation, or would you like to add anything?
What did he say? It's approved or not approved?
Not yet.
I couldn't hear back here, I'm sorry.
It's okay, young lady.
Okay,
Is there anything you'd like to add to his statement for the board to hear?
no.
All right. Anyone to speak in favor of? Anyone here to speak in opposition of? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. I'll entertain a motion, gentlemen.
I'll make the motion to zoning request be approved.
Motion by Commissioner Adams, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kirk. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, Frank?
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Now it's approved, young lady.
So now, thank y'all very much.
Items 4 and 5 were taken up in one vote on one motion. Jeff Burkholder is requested to rezone 14.63 acres from A1 to A2 to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations and to allow 3.8 acres from this tract to be absorbed into his adjoining property. Jeff Burkholder is requesting his 14.63 acres from A1 to A2 to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations and to allow 3.8 acres from his adjoining property to be absorbed into the property with his home. The property is located at 709 Lucky Jones Road in Hull on map 14, parcel 64D in District 1. There was nobody to come forward in the public hearing to speak for. There was nobody to speak in opposition. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to approve.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burkholder? All right. Is anyone here to speak in favor of? Anyone here to speak in opposition of? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. Gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to zoning request be approved. Second motion.
Motion by Commissioner Adams, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Commissioner Adams, was your motion including the action item of absorbing that property into his conditional part of that?
Yes.
That should be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
In honesty, in reading this, 4 and 5 appears to be the same. The verbiage is the same in both of them.
It's actually two tracts that are both 14.63 acres. He's gonna rezone them to A2, which is only a minimum of 10 acres.
Mm-hmm.
That way he can take 3.8 from this one, add it to this one. They'll both still be over 10 acres,
Yeah.
so they'll actually both still be in compliance.
All right. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Brian, Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, number 6, Ricky Herring, application for his father Richard Herring, is requesting to rezone 3.96 acres of his property from A1 to AR to give to his son for a home site. Property is located at 3909 Highway 98 East in Comer on map 82, parcel 20, District 2. No one came forward in favor of, no one came forward in opposition. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-0 to approve.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Herring? Are you comfortable with his presentation, or?
Yes,
Looks like anything to add, okay. Anyone here to speak in favor of? Anyone here to speak in opposition of? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion.
Just one question, Mr. Chairman. The way I see this, the access will be through the existing drive, so there will be a shared driveway, is that correct?
If it's the property I'm thinking about, it's gonna use the single drive with the gated drive.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I move this request be approved as presented.
A motion by Commissioner Chandler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kirk. Any discussion, gentlemen?
Do we need to just make a note that, to get signage put on it, is it a private drive?
Yeah.
No private drive.
Yeah. Thank you for that reminder.
Been made aware of the requirements for private drive. Have to be addressed.
At this time, any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Doctor?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Number 7. Matthew Wilson is requesting a conditional use to operate a small-scale, non-breeding dog kennel for clients and to house ready-to-adopt rescue dogs on his property. The property is located at 955 Collins Dudley Road in Danielsville on map 61, parcel 45A01 in District 4. There was no one to come forward to speak for this particular request. There were 4 people that came forward to speak in opposition, noting noise, privacy, property values, etc. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted 4-0 to approve with conditions that a 100-foot vegetative buffer be maintained on one side and front property lines, and a maximum of 30 dogs for the kennel. The vote was 4-2 to approve.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson,
Yes, sir.
are you comfortable with that? Or would you
Yes,
like
sir.
to add
Sounds
any-
good to me, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone here to speak in opposition of? Anyone here to speak in favor of?
Here to speak in opposition.
Okay. Come up and give your name, please, name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Keith Nix. I'm property owner at 643 Collins Dudley Road. Also, the direct property owner right beside Mr. Wilson's property that he's looking to do this on, 931, and also have property at 1098 as well on Collins Dudley Road. Some of the concerns that he stated is exactly why I'm concerned. Property value is a big concern. I also have daughters that are about to get married, and these are properties that I would love for them to build on or live on, to be able to be close to us. And then, of course, the noise. The noise of 30 dogs, plus his personal dog, would be, a tremendous amount of noise. The 931 property that I have literally is probably, I don't know exactly, but it's probably 150 feet so from the property line. I don't know if you've been out, but you can, it's really, really, really close to where he's looking to do this site. You know, I think it's a great thing that Matt's wanting to do. I really do. I think Matt's a great guy. But at the end of the day, I look at, you know, the interest that for me and what it affects for me and my family and the, you know, the environment. And it's tremendously concerning, you know, and my kids. At the end of the day, I want my kids to be close to me. Purchased this property and I've been renting it. However, the intent is to buy property close to my house that I could one day have them really close to my house. And, you know, and this would deter them because, you know, they wouldn't want to live directly beside a kennel that's going to be very loud and, you know, raise kids directly beside it that could, you know, potentially get it. Mr. Wilson said when we was talking last week, and we're on talking terms, we're not mad at each other or anything like that. You know, dogs will be dogs, right? They will. He even made a statement that he has a dog that'll eat through two wire fences, and they will. You know, they'll find a way out, and that's a huge concern and safety I have as well. So I ask you just to think about if you was the property owner directly beside that property, would you want this, you know, there? And you know, I appreciate the zoning ordinance for this because at the end of the day, this is something that affects the property owner's rights, and without this, an opportunity to come to speak, you know, it wouldn't be an opportunity to be able to speak your mind about it. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition?
I'm Steve Lord. I'm speaking for my mother-in-law, Mary Collins, that lives next door. She owns the land next door, and my daughter and her husband and small child live there. And she was just worried about the, you know, the land value, just everything Keith said also. And, you know, we get together down there and just don't want to hear a bunch of dogs the whole time we're out. And I'm just speaking for her. And she's 83, just got out of the hospital, so she can't be here. And so she just wanted us to come and speak her part. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition of? Anyone? Christina, do we have that plat in the packet?
No,
Okay.
this was given to y'all.
That, yeah, a while back. I just wanted to reference something, but that's okay.
It should be, yours, it should have number 7.
All right, thank you.
I'm Natalie Nix, live at 643 Collins Dudley Road, and also own the adjoining property at 921 Collins Dudley Road, and then 1098. My grandfather is George Collins of Collins Dudley Road, and so this land has been in our family for over 100 years, and it's been my home my entire life. And so my concern, as I expressed, you know, previously at the last meeting, is, you know, this is our livelihood, you know, this is our home, and I'm concerned about all the things that Keith said. But I want to be able to be outside of my home and not hear 30 or 40 dogs barking. He mentioned it as a rescue opportunity, but right now it will be a business because you can't have a rescue and a boarding facility in the same housing. He mentioned at the last meeting. And so it is a business, and I realize it's a conditional use that he's asking for, but it is a residential area. And I do agree that I think it's great that Matt wants to do this, but I think it's just the wrong area. I think I'm concerned about our property values, and I'm concerned about being able to sleep without 30 or 40 dogs waking me up when I'm at home, or being outside with family and not being able to hear the birds by the dogs or things like that, because our property through the river carries. We can hear the trucks on the bridge going by, so I know we'll be able to hear dogs barking, and I just want to be able to have my children enjoy the property without it being in their backyard, literally, in their backyard, and in our backyard as well. And I just ask that if it were, you know, to put yourself in our situation, and again, I think it's great, and I think it's something he can do, but in a commercial area or a business type setting, rather than in an agricultural area. And I've tried to put into perspective 30 or 40 dogs barking, and I think it's really hard to kind of wrap your head around that. And I think that is one of my biggest concerns. And I went back and forth as to whether or not I would play this or not. But I think it speaks volumes, and I think it does put it into perspective. But I just have a sound clip of a video of a kennel, and I wanted to play it, and I could be completely. I mean, do you want to hear this every time you're outside in your yard? But I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you on it.
Thank you. Anyone else here in opposition? Anyone here in favor of it? Hearing none, we'll close the floor, bring it back before the board. Gentlemen, I entertain a motion.
I just have a question, I guess, for you, Mr. Wilson. All right, so it looks like in your packet, you had a letter of intent.
Yes.
All right. So I guess that as far as the sound and all those kind of things, how will those be addressed? I mean, all the offsets are in compliance, right? So
Yes, sir.
current.
Yes, sir. And I'm willing to, if we need to move to gain more room, I haven't put anything up yet, and I'm willing to move it to do that. As far as sound, I've toured several facilities, and they're right. I don't know where she took the sound clip from, but there's drastic differences in different kennels. MOAS here in Madison County is one of the ones I've looked at. I like the way they're built. They use concrete block on the inside, and it really cuts down on the noise. Which way you face your openings for the outside makes a big difference in the noise as well. And I'm more willing to add more vegetation if I can. And I did test myself walking into the woods with the dogs I have now and seeing how far I can hear them. And the woods cuts down a lot. I couldn't hear my own car horn blowing after I got so far into the woods. So there are differences, and I do understand all their concerns. And, you know, I'm part of the same community they are, and I want this to be a good community. But this will also be a model facility is what I'm trying to build. We foster dogs, we work in rescue, we're starting our own rescue, which will be totally separate from this. But we want to board dogs because there's a big need for it in our area, and we're uniquely located. That's one reason I want to do it at my house, is something we're looking forward to into retirement, and that we're in a good place and away from all the commercial places that actually can harm the dogs themselves. So while I understand their noise concerns, we're doing everything we can, and I'm open to suggestions at any time about what more we could do to help cut that down.
So you said you're starting a dog rescue also that's separate from this?
Yes, it's totally separate from that. It's foster-based.
But at the same facility?
No, not the same facility. You can't do a rescue and a boarding kennel in the same place. The state of Georgia will not license it. For some really, really good reasons, mostly disease and things like that. You don't want to transmit them over. Plus, that would be really bad for your boarding kennel.
And I guess I also noticed that so this, as far as, I guess what I'm getting at, this letter of intent is more or less how you're going to operate the thing. So it says here that your business hours will be from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday will only be by appointment. So on the weekends,
that's correct.
They will have to call and make an appointment to get that.
That's correct.
All right.
So this is not going to be a boarding facility, this is going to be an adoption?
No, this will be a boarding facility. What you can do, what we also, since we worked in foster for quite a few years now, once dogs have gone through the rescue process and have been vetted and gotten all their diseases and anything else that might be wrong with them taken care of, they're then just like any other dog or any other pet. As long as they have the medical paperwork, they can be boarded at a facility. So we can also, put dogs in the facility that are ready to be taken up north on transport to be fostered out. And we do this to help out with other rescues and whatnot.
I have a question about the locations you have proposed here in the site plan.
Yes, sir.
If I'm reading this right, it's a 16-acre tract. You're about 140 feet from a property line. That, if we're, to me, if I were inclined to do this, we're concerned about noise, and I'd work towards getting as far away from the property line as possible. There's some topographical or some other reasons that it needs to be located where you have it proposed?
It originally, was a flat spot up on top of the hill. And since then, since we've had a few things brought up as well, I'm more than willing to move it further inland into my property to get it further away from that line so we can plant some more vegetation.
Mr. Pruitt, I have a question, and it bodes on this, but several others. We continue to get conditional use requests. Can these be defined such that they stay with the current use and the current owner, or are they tied to the property?
They're tied to the property, they're part of the zoning classification of the property.
Is there a mechanism that, in the event there becomes a problem, that the conditional use permits can be voided or rescinded?
No, they're part of, you could rezone, they could do a board-initiated rezone, I suppose, but, you shouldn't think of it as a permit. It's part of the zoning classification.
Because this is currently zoned A2, correct?
Yeah, but if you grant the conditional use, and that becomes part of the classification with the A2, so now, there are some requirements as to setbacks and whatnot for those,
Right.
for that conditional use. So if he were in violation of that, he could be cited for a zoning violation. If you place additional conditions, such as planning and zoning, then those are part of it. If he violates those, he can be cited.
But at this time, Mr. Wilson, you haven't presented any plans, any sound attenuation plans other than potential for a buffer to be built, correct?
Right, and if I need to do some studies as far as sound, I'm willing to do that as well.
I've got a couple of questions. For one, out of 16 acres, obviously I feel like it's in the wrong location. But with that being said, because it's an A2, there's nothing, maybe other than number, council, I don't know that there's anything this board can do to stop that other than the volume of dogs on that property. Obviously, you have the acreage, and the business aspect of it also falls under A2, same as cattle. My concern is, I think I'm gonna go where Dennis is going, is without some type of drawings to understand what you're doing, I can tell you.
He's got a site plan.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the actual structural drawings, whether it be, this drawing could be fencing. It could be just nothing more than just chain link fence. We don't know that you're gonna put concrete borders up. Madison County, the government does not house 30 dogs at the rescue, the outdoor section,
Right.
on down below Moaz.
Yeah.
I think we only have the potential of maybe 16 at one time, and it is a long way off the road. Not trying to discourage the efforts of what you're doing. There is a need for that. I agree 100%.
Yes.
Site plan location, I would try to centralize that more to the center of the 16 acres. I will tell you, of personal, being here in this courthouse during the day, behind me, more than 100 feet, there's about 6 that never stop.
Right, absolutely.
30 is really excessive. I understand they had to put a cap on it somewhere, but you're talking about potentially 30 plus a different business that may pertain to other dogs. The way I understood it, there was no cap on the other business.
Right.
So that would need to be took into factor here, because you could potentially end up with 100. yes, 30 that you came in for with this, but then 70 in this because nobody capped it. And then we've created a nuisance problem, that's gonna change the whole scope of the septic system, the wash down, all that stuff changes by the volume.
Right.
I see that the actual distance is 140 feet from probably Mr. Nick's property because he's the closest resident. Mike, I guess my question for you is, or to help me or remind me, because it's an A2, what statutes can we place on him? If any, if any.
Yeah, I mean, you can, I suppose at some point there's for instance, ownership, you couldn't, but the whole point of having things as conditional uses is recognize that these are things that may or may not be appropriate in that zoning. And so you gotta decide, not only is it appropriate there, but what conditions to put on it. So if you want to make larger setbacks, if you know, it's hard for me to brainstorm. Probably anything you come up with is gonna be okay.
Well, the gentleman that was here several months ago with the kennels, proposed going to an all indoor facility. Is that a potential with?
Absolutely. I mean, the way, I think there was a drawing, we have like a preliminary of the kennel, I saw it flash up a while ago, but, the part of it will be just open to the outside with a door that can drop. And I mean, we can go to an all indoor facility as well. I mean, I'm not opposed to that at all. Because we'll be letting the dogs out to, you know, just a few at a time, not all of them at once. That's like a huge no-no in kennels anyway. To let them out to roam, you know, play during the day. So I'm not opposed to that a bit.
But that would be in a secure fenced-in enclosure?
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna fence in the whole property around that with a 6 to 7 foot tall fence.
One of the things we've discussed or had brought up to our attention, we've addressed a few of these in the past, is that waste control.
Yeah.
That needs to be part of the plan that we need to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I personally, and here again, this is our area for discussion now, I assume. I personally don't believe that the plan is developed enough or the location site-specific on the property for me to be able to move forward with it. And here again, I think it would be grossly unfair to the neighbors, and we don't know each other, but for you to say, I'm gonna be able to soundproof a kennel and then have to live with it for the next 30 years.
I understand.
I mean, I'm just not ready to go with this, I'm sorry.
So would it be too much to say, well, for one question first, is 30 a number you have to have?
It's what we're kind of banking on. I mean, of course, the money I've got to put into just the building the place, I mean, we're kind of looking forward to that as being our break-even number to make everything run.
So is that the portion of this that's gonna recoup the income for the structure? What about the other portion that we've not talked about?
The rescue is a nonprofit. I mean, and right now, and I have no intention of doing a brick and mortar on-site or otherwise with rescue and keeping it foster-based. We take in dogs, we get them vetted, and then we find fosters that take those dogs until they're ready to be fostered out. So they won't necessarily be on our property. And I'm waiting for the guidelines now from the state of Georgia. There is a limit to what you can put in a space that they deem healthy or unhealthy. So there are some limits we are going to be working with on the property. That's not to say that I won't have other dogs in and out of there that'll be run through the rescue business, but they'll be kept between two fences and totally away from the boarding kennel itself.
And I just want to make a statement. I agree with everything that's been said about this, but, you know, A2, if he wanted to have some cattle over there, you know, would we be having as much discussion? And I know this is different somewhat, but I want to sort of make that, emphasize that when you're in an agricultural area, there's agricultural things can go on. And that's just, want it to be known that Collins Dudley over there, there's a lot of areas that's A1. And I've had a lot of people complain because folks want to do things with chicken houses. Well, it's been A1 for a long time, and they were perfectly right. And other people have moved in there and then complained because they didn't want chicken houses. Well, you know, you should know that. Now, these folks have lived there for a while, and I'm glad you're all working through it, and I think that this probably can be worked out. But I just want to emphasize that, you know, in an agricultural area, agriculture is going to go on, you know, and that sometimes it's not going to be the ideal thing because that's what's going to happen. But now, if you can work it out together, that would be great. I don't know what the suggestion is it to, that we, if we don't vote on this tonight, what, can you table a,
I feel comfortable that we could table it with the request of seeing more specific drawings or potential, other site plans, not necessarily redraw anything, but relocate it to get you a little bit more distance.
Okay.
And then come back before us, and we could, at that point, if the board felt comfortable, they could vote to approve the site plans along with the kennels, and you could still put conditions on the volume, the number of animals going to the facility.
can we do that?
Yes.
Yes.
We can just table it, and then
Yeah,
it won't hurt any, the timing of this.
Correct.
But I'm-
Yeah, this is
okay.
the final step, so there's no more timing considerations at this point. So
Okay.
if you want to postpone it and let the applicant bring, you know, suggest to you some additional conditions, site plan, you know, all the things the chairman mentioned, that you could then perhaps incorporate into a motion to approve, that's fine.
All right, well, I would make a motion to table it, and I guess the request would be to, look at the areas that we have discussed tonight.
Yes, sir.
Also, maybe, and since y'all are all still on a great, speaking together, get together and, maybe, look at some things that, you know, discuss it and see if you can gain, support from your neighbors and those kind of things. And
Absolutely.
then come back to us with that.
I have the utmost respect for Mr. Nix and you, sir, too, to be able to do what you want on your property, but I also have to, from chairman and from the board, we have to respect our neighbors.
Absolutely.
So I know between you and Mr. Nix, walking your property may help, he would help you, he does a lot with land development.
Yeah.
That he may say, you know what, I think I could live if you put it over here, and you look at it and say, you know what, I think I can too. That would be the best scenario for this board to see.
Sure.
Had he come in here, be damned, I don't want it, that would change the scenario, we'd put it all on you, but I would think it would be respectful if you work together while you still can. And I do believe that the best outcome for everybody is to come back before this board. We don't have to put a date on it, we will just table it until, do we need to put a date on it, Mike?
I think so.
Yeah, I would suggest to do that.
With that said, 60 days. I don't put pressure on you that you don't think is unreasonable, but how long do you think it would take you to try to mature your options and bring back to maybe settle some of our concerns? I mean, I don't want to put an arbitrary date on it and you say, well, that's, I'm going on vacation or, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking through a few things. See, this is May. I think 60 days will be adequate.
First meeting of July.
That will be July 10th.
Okay.
With that being said, gentlemen, I'll need a motion to
We need
table.
a second.
I made the motion.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and actually, it's going
To July.
to postpone to postpone.
Okay, postpone to July 10th.
July 10th. And I just want to ask the 4 individuals back here that spoke, is this, you think y'all can work with Mr.
We'll be glad to listen to anything he's got.
I got you. All right.
And let me just verify that this, you have satisfied your public hearing requirement now, so when it comes back to, now, if you want to schedule a public hearing, you direct your administrator to do it, you advertise a second one, but you don't have to.
Correct.
Okay.
Second motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kurt to propose postpone until July 10th, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any other discussion, gentlemen?
Just a couple of things specifically. And number one, for all you ladies, appreciate y'all being here. And do please, if there's a way this can be worked out there, it sure makes our job a lot easier. And we're not feeling like we're pitting somebody. I don't like when these kind of things pit neighbors against each other. But for me personally, I would like to specifically address the location of the kennel, and if I'm sitting here trying to be considerate of my neighbors, I will put it just as dead center as I can. And that's just me. I do want to see about how the construction's going to be, where the animal's going to be housed entirely inside or what your plans are outside. With your considerations for sound mediation and waste disposal plans. Those are four things I would be looking for.
Okay, absolutely.
I would, as a follow-up though, and I appreciate council's comments that we don't have to have public hearing involved when we do vote, but I think being asked Mr. Wilson to proceed with a number of things that, in fairness to the neighbors, that they should be given the opportunity to make comments then too, to make sure all of this has been followed up on. I mean, it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes of our time, and you know, they made the effort to be here tonight also.
I concur.
Logistical question now. Ask Mr. Rhodes to bring it back here to give him the 60 days. When would you need it in-house to maybe redistribute, look at, and get it back to us, Christine? I'm just trying. I don't want you to walk in here and think that here it is, and we're like, we ain't seen it. I'm just trying to be clear on what the expectation is.
Give me a week, the Monday before. Well, that'd be
the
a
courthouse is,
holiday,
yeah,
won't it?
that's July 4th, so we're closed that Monday, Tuesday. So the Friday before that is June the 30th, or we could do June 29th.
So that give you enough time to get it and assemble it and get it to us.
Yeah, it'll give us, if Mr. Roach gets it June 29th, it gives him 5 days with it on his desk.
It's a week ahead of time.
I'll make it happen. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I just don't want you walking in last minute. I think we pulled the rug out from under.
This will also give you an opportunity in those 60 days to find out about the other part, how many animals, because I got a feeling on the same tract of property without a certain distance, the state's gonna come in and say, if you got that many doing this, you're gonna be very limited to do this. You may have to shift the numbers to make it work. I don't know. That'll be something for the state. I will add to everybody in the room right quick, this is the hardest topic we have to deal with. It's one of the hardest topics when it comes to any kind of animal. Dogs and dogs kennels is hard because there's no true winner, even though I guess the winner would be the dog. The dog that gets adopted out is the winner. But it is a very controversial topic. I do applaud this board tonight in taking the considerations and not just completely flatly turning you down or completely passing you without the due diligence of looking into all options. That's right. That's the most important thing in this board is to explore all possible options. And then if the outcome is good, great. If it's bad, I'm sorry we explored the options. That's right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. One other thing I need to make clear for me and for everybody, I guess, we're thinking about two separate things. We got kennel, we got rescue. What we're dealing here with tonight is just kennel.
Correct.
Approval or denial of this doesn't have anything to do with a potential rescue. So that's entirely different issue. So we're talking about kennel only.
Yeah. But if you do the rescue, you may have to come back before us again.
Totally separate.
Sure. Okay. We want you to be mindful of it. That's why I said that.
Absolutely.
Chris, if you would, over the next 30, 45 days, could you put us together a little Cliff Notes version of what the state requirements are on this, what the definitions are?
Yes, sir.
And what the definitions mean?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please.
No, sir.
So we'll be a little bit better informed also.
I would recommend working with code enforcement on this.
Yes, sir.
Along with the state. But thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We need to vote.
Oh, we didn't get the final vote. We got a first and a second. It's action on Dennis. Mr.
So
Allen.
yes to table?
Postpone.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Canola?
Item number 8. Section 7.3 AR agricultural residential. The V&Z board was asked to look at this 7.3 and to change the minimum lot size in this district from 2 acres to 3.99. That was the request. Okay?
Our request was for you to consider.
Consider, correct. The board considered that, and there was no one that came forward to speak for it. There was no one came to speak in opposition, though there were some questions that came forward that hopefully were answered. And a motion was made to approve 4 acres, not 3.99, to approve 4 acres. To change it from 2 to 4, and the vote by the planning and zoning was 5 to 1 to approve.
All right. Anyone here tonight to speak in favor of or in opposition of this? Tom?
Yeah. If you want to go first, you go first.
All right.
What I kind of have to say is about 8, 9, and 10.
Is this in favor of or opposition?
Opposition.
I get it in my head.
Michelle
All right.
Thomas, live at 1061 Medworth Road. I'm kind of ticked off about this because, in all honesty, if you change this to 3.99, this young man over here's approval would not have been done because the acreage is 0.03 difference, which is absolutely ridiculous for people to own land, their own private land in this county, and for you guys to decide they need to have this many acres or what they do with their property. 2 acres is plenty. There are people in this county that are only in a subdivision required, what, half an acre? Some less than half an acre? Why do people in the rural areas have to have 2 or now almost 4 acres? 4 acres is a lot to keep up. I don't know if you guys own multiple acres of land in the county, but 4 acres is a lot. And there are families who keep land in their family and want to gift it to their family or build extra dwellings, and now we're not going to be able to. We sold part of our property and kept ours at 5 acres so we could build an adjoining property on our 5 acres, and now we're not going to be able to, according to this, which is ridiculous because last time I checked, you're supposed to work for us, not just deciding what you want all willy-nilly and changing rules. This should have been posted for everybody to see. Is this posted in the paper? Because I only saw it yesterday or late last night. Because I think more than half the county would be here over this. And you're changing, what, 8 acres and 20 acres? I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of acreage for normal people to be able to keep track of. And if they want to own 100 acres and give 5 acre lots off, then or 4 acre lots off, 2 acre lots off, they should be able to do whatever they want. Because as what our deed reads is that we're the property owners, not y'all. We own our property. I don't know why everything keeps getting changed. I will tell you, whoever votes against it, I will personally, if you vote for it, I will personally help whoever runs against you next time. Because it's absolutely ridiculous for you guys to penny pinch and tell everybody what they can and can't do. You have to have plans for this. You have to have permits for this. It's nobody's business, honestly, what people do on their property. Because we're the ones that pay the taxes, not you. Our tax money goes for everything. And when you think about it, if you have 5 acres, right, and you have 2 houses on it, what's going to make more money for you? 2 houses on that 5 acres or 1 house on that 5 acres? I'm sorry that I'm mad, but this is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. 4 acres? I mean, the county's not going to grow. I know that you guys don't want it to grow, and then you do want it to grow. We complain sometimes that their businesses don't want to come here. I wouldn't want to come here either, honestly, because this is getting to be like Clark County. And nobody wants to build in Clark County. You notice they go to Oconee County because Clark County is ridiculous, and this is getting absolutely ridiculous. So I say no.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Rebecca Staley. I'm at 362 Lord Fleming Road in Comer. I'm as I'm as upset as she is. I'm a little tearful about it, so I'm sorry. I am 32 years old, and I'm a very young landowner. I own just under 47 acres, and so I'm actually labeled as A1, but my mother-in-law has recently lost her leg, and we were trying to put an additional dwelling unit on our property, and then with all these constraints, you know, it's with the way the world is right now, just affordability and, you know, things like that. So if you're wanting to grow and you're wanting to have a good young livelihood for your people, you know, I'm just asking that we don't do this because it's very harmful to everybody. I mean, like she said, 3.99 acres is quite a bunch for people that are labeled AR, and for A1, I mean, even the 25 acres, which I think is apparently 50. I mean, my husband and I, we have been through the runaround with the zoning office trying to figure out how to do the additional dwelling unit, and there's a lot of things that aren't posted, or a lot of things, and I'm an educated individual. I went to, you know, University of Georgia, and I'm even having issues trying to figure out and look through all the codes and, you know what's allowed and what's not. So I would just ask that you guys don't pass this, because it's going to hurt a lot of families in the future, especially families that went to homestead. It's becoming a very big thing right now. A lot of people are trying to grow their own food, have their own livestock, chickens, you know, whatever. It's coming to that time in this world. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, young lady. Come on.
Thank you. Diane Briggs. I guess you could say my home address is 230 Buford Carey Road. We're in the process of building. 2 years ago, when my husband and I came down from Connecticut and purchased our property, before we made an offer, we came into the county hall to ask this property, can we put additional dwellings on it? We were told absolutely no problem. You build your first house, and then when you get your CO, you can apply to put your additional dwelling. We're almost ready. I go in to apply and told, oh no, you can't do that. Excuse me? When I pulled my permit a year ago, I asked the same question. Was told, absolutely, you can put an additional dwelling on it. Now I'm being told, oh no, you can't do that. Now you need to come in and you need to apply to move it from A1 to AR, because it should be zoned AR, but it's going to be your job to change it to AR, they told me. You guys just...
Say that one more time.
My zoning is A1. I was told it should be AR. So now I have to wait in June, make an appointment, that's the first appointment I could get, to bring it before zoning, and it won't be heard till August.
How many acres you got?
I've got 8.
Okay.
So it really,
Yeah.
I fall into this new, we can get the additional dwelling. I just find it very odd that I'm moving into a community that I was told I could do this stuff, and now I'm here, and guess what? You can't do it.
I'm going to try to clarify a couple of things. For the A1, 8 acres, is correct. Today, right now, this minute, before the board does anything, you can have an accessory dwelling.
They told me no. I've been trying for 2 months.
This is today.
Yep, no, I've been trying for 2 months to get that
Okay.
to pull a permit for it.
Today you can.
Yep.
As of right now, you can. You would have to do it rezone only because you're going from A1 to an AR. Today, this minute, before the vote, right now you can have an accessory dwelling and go to AR. The only thing you're responsible for is when you ask for the accessory dwelling, you would have to do a rezone from A1 to AR for that. That is the way it stands as of this minute, right?
So when I came in 2 years ago and was told,
That you could do it, you could.
And all I had to do was come in and ask for the permit. I didn't have to rezone, I didn't have to do anything.
Not for the single house, but if you would have asked for the dwelling.
I
you
did
would
ask
have.
for the dwelling. That was a condition that I asked about, because my son would like to also move down here from Connecticut.
Somebody
That was why we-
misstated, but that part, as of right now.
But they did it 2 years ago before my offer, and they did it last May when I pulled my permit, because I asked again. I've asked twice now.
You asked to have your property rezoned?
No, I asked for the additional dwelling, and they said it's not a problem. As soon as you get your CO, we can give you the permit to put your additional dwelling on.
Somewhere there was a one-liner that got left out, it says you could do that, but you must ask for a rezone. That's the only hiccup, which would have been nothing more than a 30-day process through P and Z come before the board.
So when this was subdivided into, I think it was 4 or 5 lots, why wasn't it changed to AR like it should have been then? Why now do I have to go and get that changed?
You do not have to have it changed
To do-
until you do the accessory dwelling.
You have 5 lots on one parcel, it's 8 acres?
No, the original subdivision was 4 or 5 lots that came out of it a couple of years ago.
So,
And it stayed as A1.
I will,
Theoretically, it shouldn't have been.
is anybody here else in opposition? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll wait till they get done.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. I'm just,
No, thank you so much. I'm gonna try to
it's
help.
just frustrating to move into a community and do all your due diligence
I'm gonna
and then
try
be
to help.
standing here because now it's gonna change.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Kenneth Brandon over on Charlie Bolton Road,
Pull his property up.
on Charlie Bolton Lane.
Pull his property on P and Z. 85 Charlie Bolton Lane?
No, it's, 205. And my neighbor is 180.
Pull that up.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, there's a reason, there's a reason I'm asking her to do this.
So that's fine, I
Because
understand.
I saw it today.
Yeah.
with you.
All right, what is that, Jeff?
205 and 180 Charlie Bolton
So
Lane.
just do one of them. 205 Charlie Bolton. And then hit the map. Perfect.
Okay,
All right.
you see up in that top part of where the property is, my neighbor lives right in that house right below there. We've had the surveyor come out, my neighbor was wanting to buy, and it ended up being like it almost 1.4 acres. Now they're saying I'm having to rezone it because of the constraints.
Yeah, it's zoned A1 currently.
No,
Or
A2.
currently. A2 currently, correct.
And all that's gonna be done is mine goes to like 6 3/8 acres from 7.75, and his will go from 1.15 to 2.5. And see, now we're having to deal with all this zoning. And I bought the land in 1971, when I got out of high school. And I didn't have all this to deal with. Even in the old settlement, when I give it to my son, give him a piece of land, we didn't have none of this to go through. So now we just throw the bottleneck in.
I understand.
But now I can understand about the subdivision because of the infrastructure. In other words, once they say they can do it, really they shouldn't be, it should stay there unless it's going to over-impact infrastructure. Because I've seen it done in Clark County where they go in and buy a big piece of land, they want to put 250 houses in there right next to Coral Middle School, and that's a no-no.
Gotcha.
In my eyes. But anyway, I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a couple things to bring up. I might do mine, I live at 180, I've only been there 3 years. Why are you redoing this rezoning to R, to A, whatever it is? Why are you guys doing this?
What's your name, sir?
Mike Dumont?
Mike
Dumont. Is there a reason?
I'm gonna try to explain to everybody the story in just a minute.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, my other question is, there's more people on Charlie Bolton Lane now. It's a gravel road. Ken and his dad put pavement in there, right? Probably back in 1970 or whatever. We got more people coming into these double wides and single wides. All I wanted, I've got called down here a few times, since I've been there. just 6 feet, right where Charlie Bolton Lane meets and Charlie Bolton Road meets. I just want that paved because there's chunks of rock coming up. It's a safety hazard. You know, it's throwing rocks into the road. You know, I get my grandkids, take them to school and bring them back to my place, you know, but, you know, I'm
You're talking about the drop off between the edge of pavement.
Yeah, that's just the drop off.
Is it fixed now?
No.
You've been home? I'm talking, have y'all been home today since you left me earlier today?
Yeah.
All right, well, they fixed whoever's I called in one of y'all in front of my office and it's fixed.
Not on 205, not on Charlie Bolton Lane.
No. Somebody else said, but they sent me pictures and confirmed they fixed it 1 hour later.
Really?
No,
That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Let's stay on track. All right.
Okay, appreciate that.
Because last time I talked with Lamar, he said y'all was talking about repaving it.
Shoulder, the road broke off. It's got to be lit.
He's talking about repaving it, and he said y'all was having meetings on it. And he said about paving, y'all was, the way he was saying, y'all was talking about dividing it up on how much it was gonna cost to pave it.
Oh, yeah.
On
That's
that
your tax
on it.
district, yeah. Oh, yes. This is the shoulder of the road. Yeah, the tax district. All right. Anyone else, sir?
Yes, sir. Not coming before you as a chairman of the P&Z, I'm coming before you as a citizen. I do believe that this change is not necessary. I believe that this change, we seem to be catering to those that have the big properties, and 50 acres, but there are people that have 10 acres and smaller tracts that want to allow their children to have a place to build homes and not give away all of their properties. So I just think you need to take a look at those that don't have as much, but yet they love their children and their family just as much as those that do have. And I think that we're allowing, we're discriminating basically against those that don't have. So I would thank you if you take a look at that, please.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else in opposition? Hearing none, I'll close the floor, bring it back before the board, and I want to start out with this to try to answer some of the questions, so we don't get it from every angle. Zoning changed 6 or 8 months ago, and lot sizes changed 6 or 8 months ago. We done that. One of the questions was, why do we go from R1 to an AR, vice versa? Where all the change come from? Change come from people that was coming in and buying 2 acres of property beside a 100-acre chicken farm, and then coming in here complaining about their chicken neighbors. They just was. That's what it was. So R1 was really, it didn't go away, but we created, RR went away. What we created was an AR, meaning if you moved here from Jackson County, or you moved here from Gwinnett County or Fulton County that had never been around farming, we created the AR to say that with the day you purchased your property, 2 acres or whatever it may be, you knew you were buying in an agricultural residential setting. So we done that in hopes of eliminating those phone calls of, I don't like the way my neighbor's chicken houses smell, because that's what we were getting lots and lots of. So we created the AR for that, and it was an upfront acknowledgement by the buyer to say, I'm buying and I know this is ag land. That was the only purpose of the AR. And I think it actually worked. And I think for the people that did buy the 2 acres in the AR, they appreciated that. I did not like as government that we had to dictate a new something just to make people aware of what they bought, because maybe the real estate agent was really, really good at what they did. And they sold them without knowing it in the middle of the night. We have lots of farmland in this county. We do want to keep it rural, but we do understand that land has to be purchased for families. I will say, and I don't mean this negative towards anybody, but I do say it positively towards P&Z. 6 to 8 months ago, I don't remember the exact date, I do think they done it correctly. I do think when they created AR being the 2 acres, I do think that the 3.99 was created correctly. I do think that the 25 acre A1 was created correctly. This is all my choice. This is just me saying this. I'm not speaking for anybody on this board. I'm speaking as informing you. A2 was created correctly at 10 acres. The accessory dwelling. I don't know where the new change come from, other than it was submitted back to P&Z to look at some possible changes. I think by having a change 6 to 8 months ago, created enough hiccup because people was used to seeing the same thing for 10 or 15 years. It did create mass chaos in our office because people was coming in and saying, well, my dad done that 5 years ago, now you're telling me it's new. To make this change now, if this board chooses to, I personally feel like it's going to create more chaos because people are just now getting used to the new change from 6 or 8 months ago, and to make another change this soon is probably going to get my planning and zoning director, the young lady, fussed out a whole lot.
Yep.
I don't know why it's being increased. That's just me telling you. So when you say I don't know what you guys are doing on this change, I don't know either. But any board member can request a particular item, a particular zoning ordinance, a particular any ordinance to be looked at by another board and then presented back for discussion. This board, which I do not get a vote on, can vote to approve this. They can also vote to deny this. I do think, from somebody that drove home yesterday, talking to a 78-year-old mother-in-law that I own 2.5 acres of. That's all I own, and I don't want all that. That's just what I had to have because that's just what was for sale. I don't like paying a bunch of tax neither. 1 acre is fine with me. If I could sell the other wasteland, I would, but it's not. It won't hurt. But I'm saying an accessory dwelling for a mother-in-law that is going at 78 that can't walk, I think going to a double the acreage of 25 to 50 or 10 to 20 just for that accessory dwelling is excessive. It's my personal opinion. That's all it is. I commend P&Z for what they have done 6 or 8 months ago. And I've said this in an email to Christopher Roach and the P&Z board. Guys, you've done it right the first time. So, with that being said, that's my address to some of y'all's topics. If I missed anything, if I didn't point out anything directly, please feel free to ask and I will try to answer them. Now, back before the board, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion on section 7.3, agricultural residential.
Before we get into the motion, let's discuss there's another component of this the chairman did not bring up. Particularly for y'all here tonight, we've gone through about a 2-year process. We're required to do a comprehensive plan update. That's a plan where the county is, where the citizens of the county want the county to be, or project the county to be, or desire for the county to be 15, 20, 25 years from now. So we're on the tail of that process. It's been a very, very public process. There was 12, 15, 20, a lot of public meetings throughout the county to try to gain as much input as possible. One of the things that was is very underlying in the tone of the whole, the result of the comprehensive plan, which we're on the very tail end of. We have not adopted it yet. It's been submitted and approved for the group that we have to submit it to. Maybe some tweaks anyway. The underlying tone of the results of the comprehensive plan, which best as it could be done, in my opinion, was to represent the wishes of the citizens of the county. Large portion of the county is designated to be in rural. Now, everybody's definition of rural is going to be different, but for us on this side of the table, the kind of things it gives us directive for. Number one, the rural area is going to be, like the chairman said, that's going to be where the agriculture is going to be conducted in the county. And there are problems with smaller parcels mixed with where active agriculture is occurring. The other challenge for us is if an area is going to remain rural, then the reality for us is we are not going to be able to plan to or expect to provide utilities like water and sewer out in those areas. And if we can't do that, then there's a harsh reality. If you get down to 2 acres, if you get a lot of 2 acres, then it becomes very, at some point in time, there's going to be demands from those people that own those 2 acres. My well is going dry. I demand you supply me water. I demand you bring me sewer now because this 2 acres is not sufficient for my house and my driveway and my well and my septic system. So that's from this side of the table, and then those are the kind of things that drive tax dollars. When we're required to supply those kind of services in a rural setting, then that's when we're really going to start getting phone calls, because that's going to force tax dollars. That's going to force dollars up there. So in listening to what the citizens told us at the comprehensive plan, there will be areas of the county that are designated to allow smaller lots, and they will likely be smaller than what those minimums are now. And a couple of the commissioners were discussing before the meeting tonight, the issues that y'all brought up, and no question in my mind, probably going to be one of the hardest things that we deal with as we look towards addressing what the citizens have told us with the comprehensive plan. Because there's going to be somebody that wants to be rural, and they say, well, 2 acres is enough. Well, is 2 acres rural? And if 2 acres here, and then another 2 acres, and then another 2 acres, and another 2 acres, all of a sudden it is not rural anymore. And then those demands begin to come to us. So I was the one that posed the question to planning and zoning to take a look at RR or AR. That was changed. The name was changed to AR for the reason that the chairman expressed. So is it appropriate for it to stay 2, or does it need to change? The acreage minimums for A1, which is the intensive agricultural zone that does allow poultry house and similar confined livestock, it was moved up to 25 acres. The reality, obviously, because production agriculture like that has the opportunity to be cause problems with neighbors. So A1 needed to be larger, and A2 is also expected to be an agricultural zone. It does not allow confined livestock, but other livestock. And so the reality is, if you're going to have livestock, you need to have acreage to keep them on. AR also allows livestock only for personal use. So you would not be involved in some, you would expect it to be limited. But so the question is, again, if we're going to abide by the wishes of the citizens in the comprehensive plan, is 2 acres the right size for AR? Does it need to be larger? If it stays 2 acres, do you jeopardize loss of rural character, which is what the citizens have told us that they want to have? And again, the demands on us to provide utilities will come. It's not an if. As acreage gets smaller, as lot size gets smaller, there's going to come a day when it's going to say, look, we got 10 people down this road, all of us, our wells are going dry, and you got to give us water now. That's going to happen. And so that is the kind of thought processes that are going out there when that question is asked, is 2 acres enough in a rural area in an agricultural designation? So that's a lot of words to tell you sort of the gist of what brought this question out there.
Good explanation. And I apologize, I did not know that half of it. That was a very good explanation as to where it came from. I appreciate that. I will say, the reason I asked you to pull that map up a minute ago with your property, because y'all came in today about it. What I'm worried about is if you're going to end up putting a big burden on R1s, and R1s is fine to absorb what used to be, or just currently was AR, turn them to R1. But like y'all's property, you're surrounded by A2, surrounded. You're going to end up with a 6-acre lot. You're going to end up with a 2.5-acre lot. If you don't qualify for AR, you're going to end up being an R1, and then it's going to be spot zoning. So that's something else I know it's just something else for this board to consider, because it's really hard. And this is tough. If you think we're just making this stuff up to penalize the taxpayers, I promise you we're not. We're trying to make it up to where we're protecting the taxpayers, and it's not always easy and cut and dry.
It's only like 1.394. Okay.
Yeah, and you're zoned actually A2 for 1.39.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not right anyway.
And I'm not gonna put a condo on there or anything like that, you know, I'm just using it for a buffer.
But you would be suited for an AR because you're surrounded by chicken, or
Yeah.
by cattle farmers on your 1.3.
Yeah.
All that is an acknowledgement. If I'm surrounded by these guys, I'm not gonna complain about the cows.
No, because that was part of the country. When you come there, I've been there since 1970.
Don't move here.
No, you don't, you look around and see what's around you, when land, when you go to prospect, just don't buy something in the dark. Go out and investigate it. That helps anything.
Keep in mind, that's common sense, but not everybody's got it.
It's
It
gone.
ain't that common.
No, it ain't that
The
common no more.
the one thing I did when
We do agree
I
on
just looked at our zoning and we're A2. So
Correct.
technically, according to this, we're gonna have to have 20 acres,
You're
and we have 5.
So you're not talking about the changing, you're just talking about the accessory dwelling changes. Yeah,
Yeah.
the next topic in here, we ain't got to that one yet, but okay, I'm with you.
I mean, we'll have to rezone it after it's just done.
So my question is there an easy thing to do, you know, to get me this little over an acre? You know, because I've already had it surveyed. You know, the surveyor is just being held up. You can't put his stuff in.
Yeah, y'all got y'all covered, so
Hey,
let's not already closing at the floor, I'm just trying to answer your questions, but all right, please keep bringing questions up. All right, keep it before the board. All right, gentlemen. Item 8, section 7.3. I'll entertain a motion to approve the changes or deny the changes, gentlemen.
Chairman, I move we approve the changes recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Shannon, a second by Commissioner Doster.
And that's they changed it to 4, so that's 399, is that?
Yep.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's all this motion is, right? Correct.
When is this supposed to go into effect? And this is just on people who are purchasing new property?
The new parcel divisions.
New partial division will go from 3.99 to 4.
It's 2 right now.
From 2 to 4.
Oh, sorry,
Two
from
to
2
4.
to 4. 2 to 4,
And when would this go into effect?
as soon as we get unvoted.
So no grandfather-in-law or?
Nobody who wants to divide their property?
Yes, so let's stop right there. Good question. There is 60 rezones right now in a folder that we're going to be seeing between now and probably September, October. There's about 60 already on the books. Everybody that's applied in that stack of 60 will be grandfathered because they've already submitted their paperwork prior to this vote. Now, tomorrow, if you walk in, you would have to apply to today's rules, which is also going to create a whole mass of confusion. Because we've just changed some already to 399. And we got 60 more. I ain't gonna say all 60 is that way, but there's a lot of them. Christopher might know better than me. That they're gonna get it one way, but you're gonna get it a different. Am I incorrect in any of this, Christopher? That's just what we have on the books.
Yes, sir.
That being said,
63.
huh?
I think it's 63. That's
63? I just said it was around 60 from last week. All right, so I have a motion by Commissioner Doster, second by Commissioner Chandler.
No.
I'm sorry, motion by Commissioner Chandler, second by Commissioner Doster. Any other discussion, gentlemen?
I just think it needs to be reiterated that it's, particular parcels individually will be identified that are troublesome or whatnot, and maybe some confusion, but looking at the comprehensive plan, you know, the work that went into that, the citizens that participated in that, and wanting to have that rural character and then bring the density in closer towards the townships, it makes sense that you've got those broader definitions of space. And there's never an easy time to make, if you postponed it, it would just, the individual lots would just continue to be problematic. So I think it's an appropriate measure to build those separate zoning classifications with those acreages that I believe that the community wanted, as part of the comprehensive plan. So that's why I'm going to support it.
All right, any other discussion?
Yeah, I would have to ask the question, and we went through this and everyone except the folks, you want to know why we're sitting up here and why we're doing things like this? I believe that specifically was one of the questions. And I'm going to pose a question back to the audience. Is anyone, and I'm not saying I'm for or against this at this time, but is anyone here that has a 5-acre lot that would object to someone putting a kennel next door to them on a 2-acre lot? Nobody would care? Is that, how is that, now understand why we're sitting up here. It's not because we're on God's right hand.
But that's what I was talking about. You have to consider impact on your infrastructure. And you gotta figure.
Well, that has no impact on infrastructure. It's your property, and you can do what, don't get me wrong, but you can do whatever you want to with it.
I can't, technically.
Well, no, wait. It's my turn, man. But you can do whatever you want to on your property, and I believe that's specifically what you said. You should be allowed to do what you want to on your property.
Correct.
Would your neighbor have an objection to you putting a $30 kennel on your property with, and I don't really know how much land you got, but arbitrarily, let's say 5 acres.
We have 5 acres exactly.
Okay, but if you wanted to put a $30 kennel there, would you feel that it would be a good neighbor thing to do that?
I personally would not do that myself, but I personally would talk to my neighbors and discuss what I am doing with my property. See, we separated it and let the Bradleys buy part of our land last year to keep 5 acres so that we could separate it and build a second home on that property.
Are you selling the home you did build?
No.
Giving it to your son?
No, my parents are in that home. We were gonna build a second home on the back of the property, and he knows because we've been in his office. Higdon knows my face. I've been in the office about it because we've discussed building a second home. And if we're gonna have people buy property, I get the 4 acres. But the people that already own property in the county should be able to do whatever they want. If they want to separate in 2-acre lots, let them. I mean, times are hard, and families are having to get together to make ends meet, and you're hindering families from doing what's best for themselves.
See, you're not, in my part now, and see, if you're talking about dividing land up, it's different than creating a problem like with a kennel.
It is different. It is different, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they're trying to say.
All right, let's get back on the I'm gonna bring it back. A lot of rabbit holes, but keep in mind there's still other reasons. You still have R1s, R2s, R3s. All right, we're just talking about AR. We're just talking about that one topic of AR. All right. So with that being said, any other discussion, gentlemen? I think I left off.
Take the motion, make sure that. The motion is to approve the reclamation plan, to go to 4-acre minimum on AR.
Yeah, I already had the first and the second. I was trying to remember who the last one started with. It was,
I started.
yeah, you started.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 All right. Keep in mind, that's just AR.
I know, but we're A2, that's supposed to be AR. It was supposed to be changed to AR.
Correct. Nothing saying you can't rezone to R1.
She has 5 acres, she can do AR.
Huh?
She has 5, so she can do AR.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that right.
Yes, but I can't split it. I can't split it into two equal parcels of 2.5, or 2.5. As of right now.
Right.
And I can't change it to R1 or because of what the joint is.
All right. Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir. Section 8.5.1.1, accessory dwelling units. Planning zone was asked to consider to change, AR has a minimum of 4 acres now, to change that to 8 on the AR. On the A1 must have 25 acres, and A2 have a minimum of 10 acres, to change that from 10 to 20 acres. No one came forward to, for it. No one came in opposition to. I believe the vote was 6-0 to approve.
Thank you, sir.
And, if I may, so I won't keep jumping up and down, I'm in opposition.
Okay.
Because, I mean, this is, it's getting a little ridiculous.
You just stated the vote was 6-0. So you were in favor.
I was not there.
Oh, okay.
I did not vote.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I got you, buddy.
I was not present.
We'll start out with this part. Anybody here in opposition?
I was not present, so then the vote would have been 6-1. Okay. But, you know, I mean, we're doubling these things for instance, particularly the A2, going from a minimum of 10 to 20 acres. There are people that don't own, that don't own 20 acres, but we're not allowing them to do anything for their family. So I'm just in opposition to that. I think it's wrong.
Thank you, sir. I'm assuming everybody was in opposition a minute ago is gonna say the same thing, or you would like to speak individually on this particular line item, you're welcome to it. This is your time.
I would.
Okay, go ahead.
My name's Mark Staley, and I live at 246 South Railroad Avenue in Carlton. I was on the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. I heard the different comments across, and I attended most of the different sessions. Nobody was talking about redoing zoning and doubling what the requirements were. Nobody. I didn't hear one word about anything of rezones and changing the amount of acreage. Nothing. So in the case of my daughter, she bought land 3 years ago in Comer, right off of Highway 98. It's in your district, Mr. Chandler. So when you buy 50 acres of land, you kind of like to have an opportunity to do what you want to with it. You heard her present the case she had. She and her husband are working to do an, what's it called, auxiliary? Accessory dwelling. She's got 50 acres. The dwelling they're in now is of a certain size, and so they want to, her family growing. I have my first grandson now at the age of 66. She wants to add another child, hopefully, God willing. Her mother-in-law, like she mentioned, is handicapped. She had to have a leg removed, so she's wanting to have the house she has now for her mother-in-law to live in, and then bring in a double wide to put on another parcel of her own land. Not buying additional land, but yet apparently, and she's had conflicting comments from the zoning, what's the name of the board? Yeah, she's had different conflicting things when they first went to, get the paperwork to do the to look at the, a septic, what it takes to do a septic system, what it takes to do, for a well. They said everything was good to go with her A1 designation zoning. Well, now, all of a sudden, apparently, which you had some follow-up today with Tracy, the lady you mentioned, that now all that is up and, oh no, that won't work. And this is to somebody that bought 50 acres of land 3 years ago, hoping to do what they want to with their own property. So to me, it's so confounding and disappointing when she said that you should be able to do what you want to with your property. You should. You shouldn't be concerned about, 2 acres here and 2 acres there. She has 50 acres that she wants to do something with, and it's limited what she wants to do. But apparently, the county is going to put up roadblocks to where you can't do it. So that's why I'm definitely opposed to any type of doubling, tripling, any type of zoning requirements. Thank you, sir.
All right, anyone else? Hearing none, anybody here in favor of? Hearing none, we'll close the floor. We'll keep it amongst the board. With that being said, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion for item number 9, section 8.5.11.
Just point of clarification, when, just another question that I asked the planning and zoning to consider. There was not any specific acreage that was given. There was no, hey, I want this, such and such. There's a concern that I have about accessory dwellings because essentially it would potentially allow unlimited amount of houses on any parcel size. The way it was very unlimited. So in the context of the comprehensive plan, and to your point about the meetings of the comprehensive plan, it's not the job of the citizens. Well, obviously, as we represent you, it certainly is everybody's job. But the comprehensive plan process is not to change or address changes in ordinances. It becomes the commissioner's task as the comprehensive plan is completed and then approved to make sure that the ordinances that the county has are in line with the expectations of what the comprehensive plan does. So we have to respond to, or we should respond to, the citizens that have presented the comprehensive plan to us and said this is what. So we recommend all this be ruled. So then it's up to us to address the ordinances to make sure that we're complying with what the comprehensive plan is directing us to do. So again, I have a good bit of heartburn about accessory dwelling the way it was, because it absolutely has been abused. So I was concerned about that, and I presented out there. So my question is, do we need to address it? Does that need to actually be removed? All those things to be considered as it's brought back to us for recommendation. And Christopher, you tell me, at one time we had an allowance for a caretaker dwelling for.
Still have it, sir.
So that exception for the care of an ailing infirm family member.
But that's only temporary. That's once something happens to that person, then you have to remove it.
I understand that, because again, we're talking about a rural area. So that those situations are temporary. So how do you keep a temporary situation from becoming permanent that essentially becomes its own subdivision, just because of the way the ordinance is written. So again, these are things that were posed out there to be considered. The zoning commission, that board there is a recommending body, and we look forward to their input. We look forward to their input to us to give us some to make sure that we're listening to all the different possible concerns are out there, so make sure that we're addressing it right. This, if we approve this change, this essentially, it just matches the minimal lot size that have been changed and have been put in. So it just mirrors those. That's right.
Any other discussion? Well, before we go any further, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny the changes for section 8.5.1.1.
Move the change to be approved as presented.
I have a motion by Commissioner Chandler. Do I have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Mr. Chandler, I guess, a little bit of thinking about it and pondering a little bit more on it recently, knowing that it meets, the accessory dwelling would have to meet the same acreage as a primary unit, so I guess I'm backing up on a little bit of what an accessory versus a primary unit would be. So I'd like to ask for a substitute motion, maybe to table it for 30 days to confirm with staff and the definitions of accessory. Get my head around it a little bit more. I apologize. I don't know a better way to say it, but
I understand.
I would not be opposed to that. I have one of the questions that I feel like I need to have answered. In accessory dwellings, in use of accessory dwellings, is there a stipulation for location on the property? So essentially, you could have an accessory dwelling right in the back door of the property of the residence that's already there. You got your minimal house setbacks of 10 feet or 20 feet or whatever they are. So you create a situation then that without some governance there, that parcel then cannot, if it is divided, then you're going to end up with two residences on one parcel that is smaller. So that's the kind of thing that is not currently addressed in the accessory dwelling ordinances that I think need to be addressed if it's going to be allowed to be lenient, and that's a concern.
In my opinion on that, while we're still in discussion, the definition of accessory dwelling is probably what needs to be revisited. Because currently, you can build an accessory dwelling on your property as long as you put an attached breezeway, it becomes one structure. So yes, it looks like two trailers or one house with a 30 by 40 couple bedrooms. As long as that thing attaches to the house, now you're still under the single dwelling. So I think we need to probably look at the definition of accessory dwelling, maybe take the accessory dwelling and limit accessory dwellings to, I don't know, there's not a real term for hardship, but I think we need to look at that part. So I don't get a vote here, but I think a little bit better understanding would be my point. So, any other discussion?
I'm agreeable to tabling it.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so
I have a lot of questions.
you recommended a 30-day?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have a substitute motion of a 30-day table on section 8.5.1.1 for further discussion.
I need a second motion to substitute.
Yeah. Commissioner Kirk, I'm sorry.
That's what I was calling
Yeah,
over.
that's what I
didn't
said.
say that one.
Okay.
No, I should have said it. I apologize. With that being said, Commissioner Kirk, it's on you.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
All right. That was taken. Item number 10, area yard height requirement chart in reference to zoning direct AR, the minimum lot size and area per dwelling column under the category of municipality water and sewer system, public water system, shared water system, no sewer. Go ahead.
That just goes back and adds into all this. That's just a change in the, right, in the table. Article 8, area, yard, and height requirement chart. To change, since you have voted to change it from 2 acres to 4 acres, need to change it in that chart, not from 399, but to 4.
Gotcha.
And the planning is only voted unanimously to approve that change.
Thank you, sir. Anyone here in favor of? Anyone here in opposition of?
I'm definitely against any time you want to build a acreage.
I understand.
That's a blanket statement.
Hearing no others, we'll close it, bring it back before the board, gentlemen. I entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion to approve the change to the chart as reflected in the previous motion activities to make a match.
Have a motion by Commissioner Doster, do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Adams. Any discussion, gentlemen? I think this is just cleaning up the first motion.
So because the first motion passed, this one has to pass.
Correct. It's just cleaning up a documentation.
Right.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Derek, it's on you.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all that is. That's just cleaning up the other. All right, old business. Gentlemen, we honestly could not remember the other night. This is consider authorizing the chairman to sign the contract. I know we agreed to the T-Splosh project of $2.6 million. We could not remember, without going back and watching the video, which we did not have time to do today, to verify that we had this, that you also authorized me to sign that contract, not just acknowledge it and accept the bid. Am I correct in saying that, Christina?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you want a motion?
I need a motion to move forward with the signing of the contract.
I make a motion after signing the contract.
I have a motion by Commissioner Kirk, second by Commissioner Chandler. Any discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none. Dennis, it's on you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
New business to discuss, annexation application from the city of Carlton. I don't know that they've had their meeting yet. Is that,
Their meeting
They
is
have.
tomorrow.
their meeting is tomorrow?
I thought they brought up theirs.
I heard it was tomorrow, did not.
It is tomorrow night.
Somebody here.
City council meets tomorrow night, but it's being.
The mayor asked me to put it on this agenda.
Okay, so just for discussion, I think for discussion is based off the outcome of whatever tomorrow's will be, we may be presented with a request for annexation into the city of Carlton.
I thought that's what the letter was for. It was for the county to approve.
Oh, that's right. We need to vote we need the approval to them so they can move forward tomorrow night. I apologize. Thank you very much.
And I'm not even the council.
It's been a Monday, buddy, I promise you.
And they would probably appreciate an affirmative vote, but,
Correct.
but legally, they go forward unless this board votes to object.
Exactly.
And the whole purpose of this, there's some properties that's divided by the city line.
Yes, sir.
So it will move the property, move the city boundaries, so it will either include or exclude properties entirely.
It will move it included or leave it split.
It's actually gonna include it.
Yeah, but unless you object, then they will annex it to include it,
So-
make it all in the city.
Yeah. And these, as far as the county's concerned, they're not zoned anything right now at all, right?
No, sir.
The portion that's outside of the city limits is.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be part of the property. Portion outside the city limits.
It is. It's a border property.
It carries its own.
There you go. Are you pleased?
That's the way it is.
Which part?
That's the way it is now. This is the way they want it to be.
No, yeah, that, I was asking his question, it's not.
So what is that portion outside the zone, just for my understanding?
Go ahead, Chris.
It was originally a 9-acre portion when they brought zoning in. They weren't sure where the city lines fell at that point in time, December 31st, 1993 for some reason. And so it was, I call it a hanging chad. It just, it's hanging right there. The city didn't know if it was theirs, and the county wasn't sure. This came up for the building of some cottages for it to come in, and the best course of action by staff's recommendation is to allow the city to annex it in.
Okay.
So
Still
that-
carry on with the character area too.
We don't technically need a vote, but it would be more reassurance to the city if I have a motion to let the city of Carlton annex this particular piece of property into Carlton.
Make a motion to
Not object.
not object.
Not object, there you go, let's try to find that crazy lingo. All right, so I have a motion not object to an annexation request.
And I'll second.
second by Commissioner Kirk.
And you can review when the process goes forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Whenever they will have to present it to us.
No, I mean, we're done at this point.
We'll be out of it after the
Yeah, right.
It's up to them.
That's right. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, gentlemen? Hearing none, Terry, it's on you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, any urgent matters that I don't know about, or anybody else don't know about, that needs to know about?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. I forgot you were sitting back there. Come on up.
There's another one after her.
I bring this up just as a reminder, I think it's still a policy on urgent matters. Somebody's supposed to explain why it's urgent, and the board vote to hear it tonight.
Oh, okay, well, I can do that. So it's urgent because it pertains to the increases in the current and soon-to-be active, I'm assuming, increases. Is this what I got in front of me?
Yes, so that is it's kind of an overarching article for the paper that's gonna come out tomorrow.
Oh.
But it does talk about the increase of our fees and everything in there, that they are going up.
Okay, so you just basically need to make us aware that you're sending this to the newspaper.
Well, yeah, it's already been sent, and I was just gonna do an update earlier today about everything going on with the,
Oh, you need a board vote?
so, no.
Oh, okay. Just
I don't need, this is just a presentation,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It was just gonna be an update of, since we had our proclamation.
Go ahead and give us an update.
So what I gave you is the article that, we have submitted to the paper. It will come out tomorrow. It is very lengthy, but, it kind of just addresses some changes, kind of letting the public know where our numbers are from last year, spring of 2022, and where we are, spring of 2023 this year. We have had a 16% overall increase in our spring sports participation, so that information is there. It's also broken down per sport, our activities, those things are in there. Also talking, our fall registration opened today. So we are in soccer, volleyball, baseball, softball, t-ball, and we are now offering cross country. So those are our fall sports. Again, registration open today. With that, also just touching on based on our Mother's Day Carnival that is coming up on May 12th. We have to have a minimum of 10. Right now we're sitting at 7. So we're really hoping to push out and get some more participation there. And then on May 13th, we are having our splash pad grand opening. It will be at 9 a.m. For that is coffee and donuts, really just for anybody who wanted to come out, our life floor representative will be here. So our life floor, we received the Making a Splash grant with that. So that was up to $60,000 worth of life floor surfacing. So we won that 100%. It didn't cost the county anything. They came out and installed it. So they will also be here that morning. We did push it at 9 a.m. so that we can encourage everybody to afterwards go to the Taste of Madison County. That will be starting at 10:30. So splash pad will not be open that day. It's just kind of a gathering of everybody. Life floors coming out with their photographer and everything like that. So we have all of that. Something else that we have also received this year is, last year we received our Boost grant for day camp. This year, they actually increased our funding from $13,000 to $25,000 this year. So that allowed us to, again, recruit more staff, which is why we're asking for more certified teachers in the summer, because it is a STEM-based program with the Boost grant, since it is coming from the Department of Education. So we have been able to get, normally we only take 30 participants, but right now we are at 50. So I know the chairman's son has now been taking off that wait list. But we still have about 35, 36 kids on that wait list. So the more staff we can get, the more kids we can take off. For that, Brian was here earlier, did want to recognize him. He has just graduated the Georgia Recreation Park Association Leadership 1 program. It was a 3-day training down at Rock Eagle, so he has now graduated that. I want to recognize him, but he had to leave. He had to go to finish some homework. So for his degree and everything. Also, again, in there are a bunch of new things that we're going to be doing this year. Don't want to really spoil it. We're going to be getting some things out, new events, new programming. We are bringing back our Friday night flights, which is our disc golf league. We have an instructor or coordinator for that, so we are bringing that back. It will start May 19th, so be on the lookout for all that advertisement, as well as our Raiders of the Lost Ace tournament. We're going to come bring it back and do it in July as well. So just a couple other things. The All-Star season is going to begin in about 2 weeks. So we're going to be going through the process of selecting all of the teams, the players, and getting that notification out to parents. With that, we are hosting again this year. So if anybody wants to come out and help and volunteer, we are more than happy to have you. Our end of season tournaments are going to be wrapping up, or going to be starting May 12th next week with that, and then our district is the June 6th through the 10th, and our state that we're hosting is June 20th through the 26th. I think that's right. Those 2 weeks. So that is great for us. We're bringing in revenue, also bringing in people for districts from other surrounding counties to us, but then for states, we bring people from all over the state to our community. So we have that, and I just sent out an email. I know the chairman and I spoke today about it, so I just wanted to kind of let y'all know that the increase for the bunker rig is really more for the standard add-ons. That number went up, and not the whole overarching thing. So the things that we need to have on it, the cost for that went up. So that is the difference for that. I just didn't want anybody to look at that number and be confused. We have applied for the MLB Youth Development Grant. We applied for that about 45 days ago, 45 days ago. We have received, we applied the letter of intent, the start for everything, and we have received confirmation that we have made it to the round 2, which is actually applying for that grant. In this grant, it is a lot of reimbursement for equipment, for fencing, for Diamond Hill, finishing some of the upgrades that we were doing for it, also adding covers to the batting cages and things like that. So we put all of that in there. It is the MLB grant is kind of a revolving thing. We have to have everything finalized by the end of this month. So it's pretty much completed with our budget and everything. So, but we have made it to round 2 for that, so we're very happy about that. And the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant is due at the end of this month. We've been working with the chairman on really trying to finalize our the facilities and things that we wanted to apply for. So now we're in the final stages of getting our budget and everything together for that. This grant is a 50-50 grant. The max that we can request is $500,000, but that matching that we do is based on in-kind donations. It could be labor that the county supplies, or it could be actual monetary from the county, or anything like that. So I did speak with Angela today on that, and since it is due at the end of the month, with us getting everything together, we will be coming to y'all for the May 22nd meeting. I think if we can do that, for a resolution from y'all to say yes, that y'all support this and moving forward with this application for that. So in terms of all of that, everything else is growing great. At the department, we have hired an athletic coordinator who will be working soccer and volleyball. We'll be working under Brian. He started today. His name is Nathan Ledford. He is a Madison County resident from here, born and raised, grew up. He is so excited and has so much passion for this, and has a lot of good ideas and everything. So we're really looking forward to everything he can offer for the county and for our community. So, really, that's kind of
well, little updates and everything. The fees, we do have a chart. The chart is actually fairly large for our fees, so it's not going in the paper, but if anybody wants to see those, we have that. I have been notified and seen that the numbers that we thought when we first looked at everything of what the other counties around us were charging, they have actually gone up as well. So they've gone up even more than what we thought they were at. So I know we did put out a Facebook post, and we did have some people saying, why is it going up and things like that. But we are one of the lowest fees for our activities and everything in the county, but we actually offer way more programs than any other agency around us. We have more participants in terms of that, not necessarily community-sized. We can't compete with the 1,000 participants that may be in soccer at Jackson County, but overall, the number of programs and the different types of programs we offer is much larger compared to them in terms of our service charges.
Your board, can I say something?
Yes, that's it.
Your board's already approved the fee increase?
Yes.
I would ask this as much as a courtesy for anything else, because I guess in my ignorance, I made the assumption that fees were part of the budgeting process as we went through. And all I guess you would, when y'all prepare y'all's presentation, asking for some matching funds.
Mm-hmm.
If we could just summarize what the fee increases are, okay, and maybe a little matrix to show, maybe what Jackson hoped for.
Yes.
Just something to keep us in the loop.
Yes, and I have that. We actually have, and I can share the link with you on that. We as all the agencies around us, thought it was actually a good idea for us to put together like a Google sheet for that, so they can go in and update, how much their fees are, what programs they offer, what those fees actually cover in terms of what they provide for their participants. So there are some things, you look at other, Haversham just went up to $125 for baseball and softball, and then, we're at $85. But what we provide in terms of what they're actually providing and everything, so we have that. So I can definitely supply that to you.
Thank you. Good job. Appreciate it.
Shelley, have we ever applied for an LWCF grant before?
Yes. So the Sammy Hagar Park, the entire Sammy Hagar Park, as well as Brewer Phillips, were both built with the Land and Water Conservation Fund.
Okay. You make sure that any terms and conditions that may be appropriate, get them to the chairman so he can get them over to council. Things have changed since then. I just want to make sure that we're not blindsided by some stipulations.
Yes, we've done a lot. So Angela is very familiar with everybody who works with DNR, with the Land and Water Conservation. So we've done a lot of communicating with them in terms of what our previous grants have included and everything like that. So we have a lot of that activity.
It comes from the feds. It's a pastor of the state. There's a lot of, Buy American Act. I mean, things that's not necessarily bad. It's just a lot of new stuff that's been put down. So we just want to make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to something we can't live with.
In your last report too, Shelley, we had a rash of vandalism, and we could move towards some additional security cameras and things like that. Does that help?
That has helped a lot. I will say, this past, not yesterday, but a week ago Sunday, we had some other vandalism at Brewer Phillips, and we were able to pinpoint exactly who it was, send everything over to the inspectors and, everything like that, and we've got that all taken care of. Most people see, when they see the cameras, they're like, oh, there's cameras, we're not doing anything. So occasionally we'll get the few, but so far it has been very good for the department, and not just the security aspect, but also for the safety of our participants. So we've been able to catch some things on camera when there's been issues and be able to address that.
Good, thank you.
Thanks. You said we have one more?
Oh, no, that was for Spirit.
Yes, sir. We had one more vote that took place at the last P&Z meeting. There's another request to Mr. Chandler. When you requested that we look or discuss the third party. Yes, sir. Top of my head, I don't have it right in front of us. We did speak on going out, the benefits, the cons for discussing going out for a third party text amendment, or whether or not it needs to be a complete UDC to help with our zoning. The major sentiment that was taken away is making sure we have the right tools to work on the comp plan and put it in place. And P&Z board was in favor of us recommending to y'all that we look at the possibility of going out for a third party, maybe trying to price shop some, but staff didn't want to do it without bringing it to y'all first, obviously, before we put ourselves out there looking for that. So I just want to make sure that the board knew we did take that up, we did discuss it, we are in favor of it. If anybody wants to email or tonight, I know it's been a long night already, we can see what avenues are available. But I just want to make sure
So we're gonna send an RFP out for this. The answer is yes, because you said price shopping.
Yes.
And I really hang up on that.
Price shopping?
Yeah.
All right, we're doing quality control, the price variance.
I like bottom lines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But just wanted to let y'all know,
Well,
we did.
and procurement would be between, that'd be up to the administration and stuff. Correct. It does not require an RFP, but it could be done.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Thank you. Because it's a service, Mike,
Yes, sir.
instead of
A construction project.
Executive session, discuss real estate acquisition, personal matters, potential litigation, sir.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
This is adjourned.
Good job. Good
Sean, do I have an update on our road yet? Yep.
Started picking up trees.
How you, sir?
I'm all right. How you?
Oh.
We moved our own trees, but.
No, we had rooms out there. Monday, and then I'm gonna see that, get everything.
I'll double check it, I don't think they have. I know they took some to Eric, because I've seen them over there with fish. Comments, or report comments on one.